6:30 p.m. for a riveting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
And in ensuring a rapid and efficient response to disaster victims nationwide, the federal government has made a move and commitment to set up a fund board that will be able to tackle some of the concerns managing a flood like that of the Borno state. And we still take a mind back to all of those initiatives by the government. And there are those that will tell that those are reacting and saying that setting up another committee probably may not also do well in terms of a full implementation, owing to the past other experiences of Nigerians that are calling that there's a need for government to also look at issues of empowering NIMET so as to be able to carry out all of those concerns and managing rapidly the responses of disaster. There are several reactions to that, and the president just yesterday at the Federal Executive Council meeting has set that committee up. But tonight we'll look at that and how far the constitution of that committee and how they'll be able to tackle future disasters in the country, so as the Nigerian people to have the assurances that the federal government have them in mind in terms of managing situation in the country. Dr. Chike Okogwu, Deputy National Chairman at ADC, joins us via live from Zoom in order to give us a perspective to this concern. Thanks so much, Doctor, for spending your evening hours with us on the program. Very quickly, how do you receive the news from Borno State in respect to the flood? That many persons are displaced as we speak. There are those that are still at the IDP camp. We've seen some donations by international and national concerns and individuals in respect to managing the aftermath of that situation. But we can't really say how far these has fared well with the people of Borno. And now the president, on this other hand, have also set up a committee to manage future occurrences of this nature. What is your concern about all of that?
Hi, good evening, Nigeria. Thank you so much, Mike, my brother. First, my heart goes out to the good people of Borno State, particularly the city of Maiduguri. It's a town that I know so well. I love this town. It's a town where I have been blessed by so many great friends. It's a town that I know is very, in quotes, not as religious as many people think. So Maiduguri, my heart bleeds for what we saw there. You will see in my background there that the era of politics is gone. You will see the 5 years of disability, 5 years after the Disability Act, has been passed. So this is the era of me talking about what I do as an NGO. So I double again as the founder and Chief Responsibility Officer at the Center for Ability, Rehabilitation and Empowerment. But from drilling down into the topic at hand, the core thing there, a lot of support has been sent to Maiduguri and Borno State, as it were. But how many of them have talked about persons with disabilities? Imagine in that thing, we know we lost a lot of persons with disabilities, but they're just statistics. Nobody even recognizes that. Because when the floods came, many of them who roll on roller skates and didn't have people to support them died in that flood. Some of them on wheelchairs who could not escape the torrents of that flood died in that thing. The deaf who didn't hear the sound as it were coming, even the blind who couldn't see where to run to, many of them died. But we're not talking about them. Yes, the government has put up a committee to look into the support and how government can support Yes, it's very important that they do that because we have the National Emergency. Is it the National and Nigerian Emergency Management Agency or Authority? NEMA. NEMA obviously walked through budgets. They didn't see this coming. They may have some special intervention funds, but the magnitude of what they saw in Borno, I'm not sure they budgeted for it. So there's a need, yeah, for help to come. We have heard of individuals like Dangote and a lot of other private sector driven people who have given their support. Some governors, some states, yes. But you see, there has to be a cohesive approach managed by government, not only to tackle the immediate effects of the current challenge, which is the flooding. It has receded for now. How do the people get back to their lives and get their lives back? That's one. Another thing is, how do we mitigate against such things happening in the near future? You recall that 4 days before the disaster happened, a group from the state government had gone to inspect the dam, and they were told, they released their report and said no cause for alarms. And then 4 days after, there was such a big disaster. How do we mitigate that? How do we stop such happening in the future? Nigeria is just a big, it hurts. But again, our work is about persons with disabilities. We want to ensure that people with disabilities get their lives back in Maiduguri.
All right, Doctor. I mean, the civil concern and more is to the fact that it was also in the failure on the part of government to manage the dam that they have, and there are every other dam in some part of this country that we are also that NIMET themselves are also predicted and also raising concern that there is a need to urgently address some of these concerns of the state of our dam. We do not want the sad situation in Borno State to repeat in any other state. Do you feel that there's also a need for government at the state level, at the local level, at all level to rise to the occasion, owing to the fact that the loss of lives and property cannot in any way be repaired back? We've seen the donation of over 12 billion naira so far in terms of managing the situation, but we are also concerned that the life of people that have been lost, that even the 12 billion naira might not be able to go down to everyone that are victim of this situation. Do you feel that the failure of government at the state level must also be addressed moving forward, away from setting up a committee like this?
Okay, in all that we have said so far, nobody has mentioned the local government, because this accident or this disaster happened is situated in a local government. And now you see why it is important to strengthen the local government autonomy. Well, they have it now, but it is important to strengthen the local governments, because if the local governments were strong, I'm sure that the local governments where this challenge happened would have responded. They would have been the first responders. But from what we see and what we're hearing, local governments are not even being carried along, and they know their people. The people at the top coming from Abuja will only come, perhaps a couple of them are indigents of that state, fine, but they live in Abuja. It is the local governments that should do the work. So I think it's time to also incorporate the local governments in these efforts. Beyond that, 12 billion naira is a scratch on the surface. The country is broke, so we hear. The country is borrowing, so we hear. But if the country is doing all that, foreign donors are there. I don't always like this idea of running to foreign donors to help us out. There should be a disaster relief fund tucked away somewhere. A responsible country should save up monies for that. Somewhere in my head, I hear that something like that exists, but how much is in that fund? You know, all this while we've been talking about saving money from subsidies. We have saved a lot of money from subsidy. This is the time to bring out that money and save the lives of Nigerians. I mean, that is the home of the vice president. Now, the emphasis is not just because it could happen to anyone, not just because it is the home of the vice president, but these are Nigerians, you know. Lagdo Dam was released in Cameroon a couple of days ago. Another disaster is building. So watch out, it will get to the Niger River. River Benue is already flooded. Challenges are already coming up along the line of River Benue. Who knows, it will get into the River Niger, flow all the way through to Lokoja, shut down the road like it did in 2012 and afterwards, and then flow down to Asaba and Oko, and you'll see it will go into the other side of River Niger, along Onitsha and all the axes around there. So Nigeria, the question to ask again is, do we actually learn from our mistakes? We have had 12 years, if I'm not mistaken, since the major disaster happened in Lokoja and along that line, the opening of the Lagdo Dam. Afterwards, we had another one. In all these years, I don't think I have heard of any project that is talking about dredging or putting up more dams around that place so that when such things happen, we can control the flow of water into the Atlantic Ocean. No, we don't learn from our mistakes. The river basin authorities, I hate to say this because I've been shouting all my life, so I'm tired of shouting and crying corruption, corruption, corruption. But what are the river basin authorities doing? It is their job to make sure that the dams are well maintained, the walls are intact, and when there's going to be a crisis, they begin to plan ahead for it. What have they done in all this? It cuts everybody pants down. And if this goes on, human lives are lost. The numbers that we heard, 40-something, 50-something, those are just numbers that they have bandied around. It was more. But this is not the time to talk about it. These are Nigerian lives. Can we do the right thing? Can we? So the job of this committee, if you ask me, beyond disbursing funds and managing and mitigating against the future, let them
have the management and the proper distribution, because they are concerned that we also have such a relief funds initiative and programs of government. There is also another room for people to embezzle.
Sorry, I lost it. I didn't get that.
There are those that are also saying that it's not just about setting up a relief fund committee. The question of people receiving some of this intervention, because we've also had fantastic initiative by government. We've seen the last feeding program initiated by the last administration was marred with corruption. People did not benefit from this initiative of government. So they are questioning the integrity of setting up a committee at this time, which issues and fears of Nigerians about room for an embezzlement has been raised.
You know, you're absolutely right. Bang on. The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, I think they used to, I don't know if disaster management, no, I don't think disaster management is under them anymore. I don't know where it is now. But if it's at the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, right now there's no minister. But I trust the person of the permanent secretary there. He's a man that I know so well. And I trust that he will manage funds judiciously if there is a need to strengthen that area. But you see, beyond him alone cannot do the job. He needs people to do it, you know? Now, this committee and all these things that we're talking about, setting up funds and all that, human beings have to manage these funds. My problem is, when are we going to separate our culture of wanting to eat from people's pains? Watching videos and seeing how people were being loaves of bread were being thrown at them, rice and all that. You know, we think that, you see, it hurts. Honestly, it hurts, really. Because a proper plan, people's homes, some of them don't even have homes. And you know that after floods, there'll be mosquitoes. And the mosquitoes carry malaria. Have we thought of the malaria epidemic that is going to come out from there? Have we also thought of the stench? Sewages and all that were overrun. And we're talking about cholera and mpox. How far has the NCDC, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control or National Center for Disease Control, how have they been empowered to go there and curtail diseases there? In all this, the people at the end of the food chain are the vulnerable, people with disabilities, the elderly, women with disabilities, or women in general, children. The Ministry of Women Affairs, how have they been strengthened to take care of the children there and the women there? So these funds, I want to believe that the people that have been put in place to manage these funds are men and women of integrity, but we need to begin to hear good news from there. Farmlands have been washed off. There's going to be food scarcity. Some of the rice mills there in Borno State are gone. Tomatoes and all that. So many things. This money that we're talking about, how is it going to impact on the farmers who have lost so much money there? Not just the farmers, how are we going to replace the food that has been lost there? You see, we can go on and on. Honestly speaking, that committee, I don't envy them because they have a lot of work on their hands. From the health part to the economic challenge to the psychosocial part of it, because some people have even lost their minds, you know, the mental health issues that are going to emanate from there, so many things. Their work is cut out for them. But how quickly and how well they can respond is what you and I don't know. I pray for them, but this is not time for just prayers. It is time for them to get in there and get the work done. Foreign donors and developmental partners are also coming in, asking how they can support and all that. We should open the doors for them. You recall that, then the military, this is the time to actually give thumbs up to the military. We saw videos of how soldiers were saving civilians that they did not even know. Soldiers, you see, this is the time I have to be proud to be a Nigerian, because you saw soldiers and uniformed personnel from way across the other side of Nigeria, taking care of men, women, and children that they didn't know who they were, but because they were Nigerians and they were all committed to being Nigerian, they were doing the work. So this is the time to call on President Bola Tinubu. Yes, he has done made a good choice of not going for the UN General Assembly. He has gone there to see the people. But Mr. President, sir, I use this opportunity to plead with you. As you're taking care of all the people, sending people there to go and take care of people, this is the time I'm calling out, please, 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 persons with disabilities, the vulnerable people there, and those in prison. Prisoners, they are human beings, they are Nigerians. All of them, children. Please, special attention to be given to all these people. Let's make sure that we turn lives around and save lives up there in Maiduguri.
The founder, Center for Ability, Rehabilitation and Empowerment, former presidential aspirant and deputy national chairman of ADC. Thanks so much for sparing some of your evening with us on Big Talk.
Thank you very much. Thank you so very much, Mike.
And of course, we keep on tracking some of the development, the action by the presidency to tackle some of the current economic issues and the hardship in the country. The vice president is representing the president at the United Nations General Assembly out there, and the president held the Federal Executive Council, presided over the Federal Executive Council, and of course approved some projects in terms of human capacity enhancement. Nigerians are only asking one question: that away from the approval, that is a need for swift and urgent actions in terms of implementation. Concern on new minimum wage implementation has also been raised. The local government autonomy implementation has also been raised, which are the factors that will drive some of these hardship away in the country. Nigeria is hard, and of course, concerned that we must always do what we can to protect and make Nigeria have a dream. Thanks so much for joining us on the program Big Talk tonight. Tomorrow again, sometime we continue on other national issues. My name is Odikan Michael. I'm a Nigeria Succeed.